I know plenty of people have talked about Bayek and Origins, but the difference this time is this video is my interpretation of Assassin's Creed Origins and Bayek's Egyptian tragedy turned Odyssey. I love Assassin's Creed Origins, and I absolutely love Bayek of Siwa. This game itself is kind of a dream come true for me, and I want to touch on why I didn't expect to love the game as much as I really do. First, please allow me to show you the moment I knew I was probably going to love Bayek, and later I'll show you a few moments of why I did.
You are the Medjay from Siwa. I thought Medjay was supposed to protect the Pharaoh. I am Medjay to no Pharaoh. You see this? I can read my own name, Nat! We will find you. We will find you in your sleep! Sleep? I never sleep. I just wait in the shadows, and I will kill you all! Everyone who sniffed the air that day in Siwa!
Now that is a man who has lost almost everything, but most definitely the one thing that meant the most in this world to him. I am a father, and at every moment of this game, the story pulled at my heartstrings as a person, but especially as a father. The thought of losing my son is an extremely tough one. Not one that me or anyone else really likes to think about, but it is, in fact, a possibility. And this game really makes me think about what that would be like and how I would react, how I would be, how it would affect me, and just what I would do. It's an extremely uncomfortable topic, but one that can be very, very real, like I said before. One that makes for a really, really heart-wrenching tale of loss and love. I've always loved the Assassin's Creed games. They were one of my favorite games that helped me grow a love for history, and that's why I always enjoyed them. But none of them ever hit me quite as hard as this game did. None of them made me feel for the protagonist quite the same way that Assassin's Creed Origins did. I think Bayek of Siwa is hands down one of the best characters, not only in the Assassin's Creed franchise, but in the entirety of video games as a whole. And he's definitely the best Assassin's Creed protagonist since Ezio Auditore. And Ezio was truly a great character in his own right. I mean, just listen to his speech in his final days.
When I was a young man, I had liberty, but I did not see it. I had time, but I did not know it. And I had love, but I did not feel it. Many decades would pass before I understood the meaning of all three. And now, in the twilight of my life, this understanding has passed into contentment. Love, liberty, and time, once so disposable, are the fuels that drive me forward. And love, most especially, mio caro. For you, our children, our brothers and sisters, and for the vast and wonderful world that gave us life and keeps us guessing. Endless affection, mia Sofia. Forever yours, Ezio Auditore.
Assassin's Creed Origins from the very start pushes this sense of beauty and discovery everywhere you look. It definitely took some inspiration from The Witcher 3 in that area, as well as its combat and the way most of its RPG mechanics function. The world is immensely detailed and vast beyond anything you thought possible, and serves as an almost to-scale version of the entirety of Egypt. I mean, just think about how impressive that is. How impressive and genuinely what a feat of game design it is that they were able to achieve what they did with that. It's insane. Just walking around or riding your mount, whether you're in a village or exploring pyramids and ruins around the world, or even the Nile River, it's just beautiful and lived in. People have daily tasks and sleep cycles. And quests feel real and just as important as the main narrative. Something else that I only thought that was possible in something like The Witcher 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2.
Basically, we started by giving the NPCs their own agenda. They need to rest, they need to work, they need to eat. So they will travel the world and try to fill those needs by, engaging with either a restaurant or in their house, having dinner with their families or sleeping on the roof of their house. And obviously that layer also applies to guards and enemies in the game.
But honestly, Origins accomplishes it just as well and manages to make you feel for these characters that are seemingly unimportant, except they kind of are just as important because it's all about your journey through Egypt as a protector. The game is a real well-developed animal ecosystem, which adds so much to the living nature of the world, similar to Red Dead Redemption 2 or Far Cry Primal.
What's great about Egypt is that there's a lot of animals, and we really embraced that, and we wanted to give really the Egyptian experience, but in terms of fauna, to the player. So there's crocodiles. Obviously you can't do a game about Egypt without crocodiles, but we got hippos, pink flamencos, hyenas, snakes, all sort of wildlife that also have different levels of difficulty, obviously, where you are in the game, all based on the actual animal behavior. We studied a lot of videos on that one to try to be as accurate as we could. You could just witness 2 different types of animal fightings, or guards trying to scare off a crocodile that just wandered in their camp and that sort of stuff. And we feel that brings a lot of interesting variety and surprises to the player. And maybe animals can become tools for you in quests to succeed, to track down your targets.
It's so enjoyable to get lost in this world and explore complex tombs within pyramids, or finding very interesting side quests and completely optional stuff to do as you traverse this huge world. Everything you do in the game enriches the world and the overall history of the setting you're playing in. Every village and every landmark has its own secrets or mysteries to discover and solve. I say it's like a dream come true because, honestly, I've loved ancient Egypt, Egyptian mythology, and honestly just Egypt in general ever since I was a kid. Ever since I watched the 1999 Mummy movie for the first time in my life. That world, that environment, the sand, it's something that really got me to love something outside of water. Because I'm a huge fan of water as a Pisces, and as someone who's a huge fan of like Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. So I'm really drawn to that kind of thing. So when I can be just as drawn to something that's the complete opposite, that was pretty impressive. So yeah, I've always loved the setting, the history, culture, etc. And this game allows me to explore a massive recreation of Egypt and its many historical landmarks and locations to my heart's content, which is even better. And it's beyond amazing, and the overall scale of the game is mind-blowing to me still to this day. It's hard not to fall in love with this game's beautiful, beautiful setting. Origins has an amazing world full of beauty and discovery, but the main focus is on the story and Bayek. Bayek of Siwa is a Medjay, a protector of the people and a father seeking redemption for himself and revenge for the death of his son. This plot point made it a lot more personal for me and much more emotional. Bayek's journey from anger to acceptance is a beautiful one. He grows so much as a person and becomes like a father to all of Egypt, the protector they need and the protector they deserve. He has the capability of being brutal and relentless, but also understanding and compassionate, which is a range of emotion not usually shown or written as well as it is here. He turns into a monster after the death of his son.
You are no one. Bayek of nothing. Father to nobody.
And here is your nobody. May the Hidden One greet you. The Lord of the Duat awaits.
And then eventually he learns to control it. And that makes him an even more dangerous person, because he's more calculated in his approach than before. Because before he was driven solely by anger. I didn't expect to love Origins or fall in love with its protagonist, because the game seemed like it was going to be so far removed from what I loved about the Assassin's Creed games. And in some ways it still is. It's much more of an action RPG heavily inspired by The Witcher 3, and has a much smaller focus on stealth. Plus it's a massive game, way bigger than any prior game. May not be exactly what I was used to, but the story, world, and characters made me not really care. And it's an origin story of the Creed. I really enjoyed the historical fantasy and being given even more of a chance to live in this world than ever before. Now let's get back to Bayek. Bayek is such a well-written and well-acted character. Voiced by Abu Bakr Salim. You get to see a full range of emotions. Abu had an absolutely stellar performance in Raised by Wolves as well, where he plays largely with no emotion, but he has such a wonderful voice talent that you can still hear and feel the emotion through his words alone. He talks a bit about his performance in a making of video. Let's check it out.
Bayek's journey is really, it's very internal. I think that's what's so interesting about this game anyway, is that his journey is, it is again the origins of the Brotherhood, but there is a journey, and from what I've done and from what I've read, it's not as big as Ezio. He doesn't make as big of a change as Ezio, or even like Connor. It's a personal journey, and I think that's what's quite exciting about this game, is that they've gone a completely different way of portraying these characters, portraying the world.
Bayek helps many people throughout his journey and visits many places, always leaving an impact on the lives of the people. This game really makes you feel like you're making a difference, a little more than prior games. But you also get to see the main character fight his demons and deal with his pain in a much more relatable fashion to some degree than your average game. This is the more lovable and fatherly side of Bayek.
The stone circles show the gods' places in the sky. And your grandfather once told me they also show our place in the world.
I'm going to find every stone circle, the Sphinx and the pyramids too. And I'll find my place.
You really get to see this character grow and struggle. I feel like Origins doesn't get enough credit for all the things it did so well. Between its world building, atmosphere, and utterly impressive attention to detail on all the things that it does, it's not afraid to leave you with long stretches of desert, or time to contemplate the narrative and your place within this world. Not only that it translates well to an action RPG style, way better than expected, and has surprisingly deep combat once you get the hang of it and understand how it works, the stealth is way more deep and creative than ever before. But sadly, the Hidden Blade is nerfed to the point of only instantly killing lower level enemies until you fully upgrade it. I can look past this given the setting and story presented to me, but honestly they should have left it as an insta-kill. Once you get it fully upgraded, that's no longer a problem, but it's just a weird thing to have done. The aforementioned father angle to this game created a personal connection for me, being a father myself by the time I got around to playing the game. My son, at the time, was a bit younger, and he would lay there and his eyes were glued to Origins more than any other game I had played in front of him. And even several times I booted up the game while making this video, and he still loves to watch it. That shared interest in the sights and sounds of Egypt with him provides even more love and appreciation for this game and its recreation of the end of the Ptolemaic period of Egypt. Bayek of Siwa was not only a well-written and well-voiced character, but a realistic father dealing with grief and regret. He goes on a very real journey to accept and overcome his mistakes and the death of his son Khemu. Bayek's journey reminds me of a more grounded version of Kratos in the original God of War trilogy, but it spans the entirety of a single game. And by the end, he is no longer the same person because he started his journey mourning and not wanting to live mixed with the anger like God of War 1 and 3 combined. But then he chooses to take the mantle of Egypt's fatherly protector and to go forward protecting others from the shadows and to hide within plain sight. The game even goes a step further and shows how tragedy can affect a relationship and split two people apart or bring them together.
Finish me, you coward! The waste of time!
I can't do it, I can't do it!
It's alright, Papa.
No. I will lose you forever.
Not forever. I will be waiting for you in the field of reeds.
Bayek is one of the most realistic characters in any game I've ever played, right next to Arthur Morgan, both showcasing two different stories about life and both teaching a lesson about the world and about life itself. Bayek's character arc is perfect, from angry to humble, from chaotic to controlled. He is one of the most relatable characters I've ever had the opportunity to experience through a video game or any story for that matter. His memories and experiences with his child and looking back at them shows that he should remember how happy Khemu was, and remember him as he was, not how he left. Remember all the great moments and memories, and not to get lost in his death, because he wouldn't want his father to live a life of regret and sadness. He'd want him to be remembered as he was and see his father go on to fulfill his calling and live a life he feels is worth living. In the end, it's better to remember the good more than the bad. It's better to move forward and accept what has happened and cherish the memories you made. Cherish every moment with your children, friends, and your family, for one day they may not be here anymore, or you may not be here anymore yourself. Make memories every day and don't waste a single moment. Make the most of your time and it will seemingly last forever, or waste it all away and notice just how fleeting it is when you have no time left. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I appreciate that you made it to the end. This was a deeply personal and somewhat emotional video to make. This was a beautiful game and a one-of-a-kind experience, to say the least. I hope you all can make the best of your days and do the things you love with those you love. It's okay to look back, just don't get lost in what was and look to what can be. There's one inevitability in life, and that is death. We all pass on at some point, as do all things. But how we impact others and their lives in big or small ways will be how we live on in the minds and hearts of others. Make the most of the time you have, because you don't know how much time you have left. I'll see you all in the next one, and if you'd like to leave some stories about how video games have affected your life, or any of the memories you made along the way, feel free to drop them down below, and also to let me know you watched the whole video. I'd love it if you commented, "I serve no one, and I fight for everyone," down in the comments. I'll leave you with this until we meet again on the shores of the Nile.
We must continue the fight and defend the free will of the people. And no matter how small, our brotherhood is the only hope. And our kingdom needs no crowns. What we believe in, our values, our creed, will unify us. And I promise that for all the songs of Egypt, I will be the father I was not that day in Siwa.
Well, look at that. We're at the end of another long video, looking back at the past and looking forward to what's next. We Happy Few is coming along and a few small surprises after. But then I'll be finishing up my Dead Island and Dying Light series of videos. I have a new channel update planned and the future is bright. I think the focus going forward will make things easier for not only me, but also you, the viewer. I thank everyone for the support and love through this journey. I want to give a little shout out to both my Patreon and a new podcast I launched with High Functioning Medium and S35 Gaming, called the Quad Damage Podcast. We're also known as the best boomer shooter podcast in the entire world. I hope you enjoy not only what I'm doing with the channel and the Gaming Bounty Board podcast, but what we're doing with Quad Damage as well, because it's only going to get better from here. Thanks to Osh and Medium for supporting me on Patreon. All the links will be down below in the description. I'll see you all next time.